Microphone check. 1 2 1 2. This is the Blaze the Lion podcast. I'm your host, Blaze the Lion, Blaze Doctari, Blaze Goldsmith, all of the above, Blaze the Machine, if you pay me right. Indeed. We are live, right now on Facebook and on YouTube on the Blaze the Lion podcast pages and channels. Indeed. All month we have been talking about nothing because this month just started. Yes, so this is a brand new month of March. And for March, the theme is Lady Lyricists. I'm going to let that marinate for a little bit. In the meantime, let's pay some bills. So, do you have a company? Are you looking into branching off and maybe starting your own business? Do you have an idea and you're not quite sure where to start? Maybe you need a logo. Maybe you need a website. Maybe you do have a company, but it just needs a facelift. Well, look no further. For all your digital marketing needs, go to starchildsocial.com and tell them that Blaze sent you. Indeed. If you're loving the movement and loving how we do this, and you want to become a monthly contributor, we got you. You can go to anchor.fm/blazethelion/support. And we have 3 tiers right there from $1 to $5 to $10. And become a monthly contributor to the podcast, right? We got the Blaze the Lion podcast apparel. All right. Yes, indeed. And as promised, we got webinars on how to find your purpose. Do you know your purpose? Are you walking in your purpose? Or are you just helping other people with their plans for your life? That part, all right? You want to know more about finding your purpose and actually walking in your purpose and maybe making some money in your purpose, right? We got these webinars and seminars coming this summer, all right? So coming soon. All right. As my phone is blowing up, gotta love live. All right. So right now, this is episode Work With Me 93. Episode 93. I always check with my business partner, so text me in the chat if that is correct. But I think it's episode 93. And as I said, this month is all about the lady lyricist. So what is a lady lyricist? Maybe you're a lady lyricist. Maybe just that theme alone draws you in and you're very, very curious as to what's going on tonight. As we've had other themes during these past 3 years, from school teachers to photographers to painters, right? To even children on here. We've had dancers, DJs, all sorts. But this month is all about the lyricists, all about it. And tonight's guest is someone who is, of course, talented, someone who, of course, is walking in her purpose, walking in her power, someone who draws an audience with her gifts, draws an audience with her words, someone who knows that words are powerful and there is life and death in the power of the tongue. So someone who is not afraid, who is bold, all right, who is not just staying in the pocket, but instead being her authentic self. Which is someone that I'm excited to bring as a featured guest on the Blaze the Lion podcast. And without any further hesitation, I want to welcome tonight's guest for episode 93 is none other than... You got to let it breathe for a little bit, you know?
Let it breathe.
Tonight's guest is Sublime Love. Welcome to the pod.
Hey, yes. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. This is my first interview as I've relocated to South Florida, my first connection for an interview down here. So I'm super grateful. Super grateful. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So again, I always give my introduction of my guests. Some may love it, some may hate it. But I always encourage my guests to share a little bit about yourself for those who may not know.
Yes. So I am Sublime Love. Sublime means supreme, outstanding. And I spell love Luv, to signify revolutionary love. So that's love for the oppressed, Black love, queer love, trans love, disabled love. We truly need revolutionary love today. So when we love ourselves and each other, despite the messages that we get from society about our worthiness, when we love ourselves and each other, that is revolutionary love. That is resistance. So I came up with my stage name. It just came to me honestly through my own like revelation in life. So I used to use sublime a lot in my poems. So it was always a common word, and I'm like, why do I keep writing sublime? And then I just it just made sense. It manifested in 2012. So I've been performing professionally, going hard with it since 2012, memorizing my work, performing my work. I have been writing since I was a child. I started journaling at 10, so poetry kind of came naturally to me. I would write about my life, and then as I aged, like poems just came out very naturally for me.
Mm.
And I remember I was 14 and I wrote a poem called I think it was called The Queen, or A Queen. And I read it to my mom. I was just 14, like either seventh or eighth grade, I think. I read it to my mom and she's like, "You didn't write that." I was like, "No, I really did, Ma. I really did." So that's when I knew, okay, I must be good. If like she's questioning if I wrote it or not, maybe I'm good at this thing.
Right.
Even before that, I had my first spoken word performance at like 11 or 12. My mom wanted me to do something for her event, so I really was digging Maya Angelou's and Still I Rise. So I memorized and Still I Rise and performed it. But that was like my first and last time until I was about, I'd been writing, but I didn't start performing actually, like sharing my work with people until about college. There was like open mics in the city that I was living in, that I was city where I'm
Hmm.
from. They were popping up, and I would take my paper and like shake it with shaking hands, read my work. So yeah, over time I was exposed to a group of poets, and they were memorizing the work. They were performing without paper, so that inspired me to also memorize, and that just even took my performance game to another level where I was not like the paper wasn't um, hiding me from anything. Like I'm
Right.
actually out there, like looking at the audience. They're feeling it. It's more energy. I feel like when you're like. There's nothing wrong with reading. Don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with reading your work, but there's another level. I feel like when you're performing from memory, because you can
Hmm.
get more theatrical with it. You can use your hands. You
Hmm.
know, it's a vibe. And you can connect with your audience in deeper ways. But yeah, so that's kind of like my evolution. I've been performing like since 2012. So this is my 11th year actually. My best friend who passed, her favorite number was 11, and this is my 11th year performing.
Mm.
So I'm really happy to be here. Happy to have relocated. The love really hits differently outside of your hometown. So I'm just so grateful. Yeah, I've been hitting open mics here in Broward. I did hit a few in Miami, but I feel like the scene in Broward is a little bit more pronounced as far as like open mics and spoken word. I feel like the scene is more like kind of just it's not welcoming. It's just there, right? In Miami, I was having trouble finding kind of spaces that I found in Broward. So um, yeah, and actually, someone who attended the open mic that I performed at referred me to this to feature here. So
There
yeah,
we go. There we go. I can definitely relate. I've been an artist myself for so I'm about to say my age out here, but
okay.
I've been an artist since high school. So I had a rap group and all of that,
Oh
and I would perform back in the '90s and traveled. I was signed, been on tour, all sorts of things,
wow,
and the scene here in Miami, in South Florida in general, is very very different. And what we would run upon is when we would travel and do shows in New York or shows in Virginia Beach or in Atlanta, right? We would get so much love, and even the promoters, right? Even going to North Florida, right? St. Pete, the promoters would make sure that we get our VIP section and we get lots of food and beverages and all of that, right? And then when we perform in our hometown in like Miami or Broward, it was like, oh, it's just y'all. All right, well, yeah, just go over there. I'm like,
where oh my God, you are hitting the nail on
hell.
the head. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, so I'm from Boston, born and raised, a lot of
Yeah.
winter. I'm Roxbury till I die. That's the neighborhood I grew up in. very predominantly Black neighborhood. I saw my own reflections, and I'm Roxbury till I die. I'll always be Roxbury till I die. I'm Boston till I die. But at the same time, moving outside of it,
Mm-hmm.
and like there was so many platforms that I got denied access to, so many contests that I, didn't win. And don't get me wrong, there were plenty of stages I hit, plenty of things that I did get. I got grants and things. Like don't get me, I'm not throwing complete shade. Like I did have a platform. I do have an artist community in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always love there. But the type of love hits different. Like you say, like someone's like, okay, yeah, you're just sublime. Like, I grew up around you. We hear gossip about you. We know your business. We hear slander about you. Like we're making our judgments. We're biased about you. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like when you step into a new place, no one knows you from Adam.
Yeah.
No one knows you. They're literally seeing you and seeing you perform, seeing your talent at face value, and they're like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing behind it, no background politics that are denying you access.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
people don't know you. So they're really like, wow, like it just hits different. And I'm so grateful that I made this move. I've been put on to like a few platforms already. I'm
Mm-hmm.
performing at Miami Beach Pride Festival in April. So it just really took on. It's happening a lot quicker than it happened at home. I had to put in
Mm-hmm.
a lot of work to even get recommended for things like this. Like this would have
Mm-hmm.
taken like a year or two back home when I was beginning and starting out. It would have taken a while. There have been people though that have said that I'm underrated, like even people in my hometown, in my home city, that have acknowledged that just being underrated. So coming here has given me new life, really.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and even though it has taken time, I am a firm believer that um, there's nothing in vain, right? So all those experiences that you went through in Boston has given you more experiences to actually share. It's given you more wisdom. It's given
Mm-hmm.
you like your network and
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of things. So listen, this is your season.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. It's hitting different, and my
Hmm.
favorite number is three. So it's funny that this is the 93rd episode. Well, it's not funny.
Hmm.
It's actually symbolic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2023. Yeah. I have a lot of threes in my address, so
Okay.
threes on my license plate. I still have Massachusetts plates. I drove down here actually. Um, yeah, so I'm definitely divinely guided and protected by threes. So
I
for
love
sure,
it. I
for
love
sure.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love it. So, if someone for the first time hears that you are an artist, you're a lyricist, um, is there a category? Is there a subgenre
Mhm.
that you're usually known for, or
It would be spoken word, I guess.
okay?
Like spoken word would be that's the initiator of everything, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I started off, you know, it's spoken word for me. Some people don't know what it is. Like, of course, people know poetry, reciting poetry, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like spoken word is its own genre because there's slam poetry, right? But
Mm-hmm.
slam is for competition. So where spoken word is like, you're actually just memorizing the work and going in, and it's entertainment. Like you're going in, it's theatrical. There's cadences to your voice. You're inflecting.
Mm-hmm.
Your body is moving. You're looking at the audience. So it's spoken word. It's poetry, but it's also like the word is. In the beginning was the word. That's actually a tattoo that I have right here.
Mm-hmm.
So the word, that it's so powerful. Like you say, speak life. Speak
Mm-hmm.
the power of the tongue. It can shift so many things.
Oh yeah.
So I like, even on my Instagram, it's just powerful words. Powerful words transform worlds. So when
Mm.
we hear a word, when we hear something profound, that shifts us, that transforms us. And
Yeah.
we can, even today, we're sharing memes, we're sharing words with each other, because we can all, these are things we can resonate. This speaks to us. So words do transform everything. So the spoken word is the poetry, but it's a whole genre within itself.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Those listening right now, those watching us live on Facebook or on YouTube, and you have any questions for Sublime Love, please don't hesitate. There may be a slight delay in this technology, not my technology, just in
No,
technology
it's in general.
in general. You did,
Yeah.
but feel
Uh,
free, don't hesitate. Your questions will be screened, but Um, don't hesitate to ask any questions that you may have. All right. So, we're going to put you on the spot, right?
I was expecting that, of course.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Of course, of course.
Yes. 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 So, yeah. So anything that you would like to bless us with, your audience,
Yes.
floor is yours.
All right. Well, I think this one is fitting because it's Black History Month was just a few weeks ago, last month. Well,
Mm.
so and it's also Women's History Month this month. So I'm going to do my poem, "Who is God?" So, and it's going to shock some people maybe, but it's going to make sense when you hear the words. All right. All right. It's called "Who is God?" The black woman is God. I said, the black woman is God. Let every picture of white man Jesus be destroyed. May we build new places of worship, honoring the feminine. The black woman is God. The most ancient human skeleton was a black woman. Mama Africa be home to humanity. It is time for us all to see we are all birthed out of dark wombs. And isn't this a metaphor for the author of the universe? She effortlessly lined up the stars and planets. Look at Earth's satisfied thoughts. This has all it needs. Now let me make the human race. I'll tell you all the real story. Mother God made us in her own image out of the earth. We came woman first, and from her rib came man. The true lesser sex. He ain't nothing without a woman. Continues to be made manifest from woman, and that original woman be black, be eternally beautiful, be creator, be God.
Mm. I see. I see.
It was fitting because it was Black History Month. Now it's Women's History Month, so it was fitting.
And I love how you get into character too.
Yeah, that's
True
entertainment. That's the
artistry.
spoken
Yeah.
word. That's the spoken word entertainment. Yeah,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Hmm. So give us, right? Because we are on this podcast and we want to highlight the highs and the lows, right? It's all part of life. It's all part of the actual journey. And you touched on a little bit of it from your hometown. What's been maybe the biggest hurdle or obstacle along this lyrical journey that you've had to overcome?
That's a good question. I feel like honestly, it has been being underrated, honestly,
Okay.
because like I said, I've been working at this and performing and mastering my craft for 11 years at this point. I feel like at this point, not saying mastering, I feel like I have mastered it. And I feel like for the last few years, I've been a master at it. So I feel like just being around people that know me and have heard gossip and whatever, slander, biased opinions, like I feel like I I don't like no one really like it took a while to even be put onto certain places like to have to prove myself when my work actually speaks for itself. Like, you know what I mean? Like even just experiencing me for the first time here, someone put me onto this platform. And even with applying to Miami Pride, I just showed my work and I got on that platform. There was also another festival. I just showed my work and I got on that platform. There was no decision makers, no people that had to give me a recommendation. My work is literally speaking for itself. And I
Mm,
feel like that wasn't enough where I was from. My work
mm,
wasn't enough. I had to have deeper connections or people recommending me. There was applications, right? And then there's people in the on back of those applications, these boards, and these people are probably not really your fans, right? And they're blocking you from these platforms
mhm.
because of whatever. I actually had a friend that I was close to. It just came out a few months ago that she was actually prohibiting, like discouraging people from booking me. So another
Wow.
friend of mine came out with this and confessed this to me. It wasn't even a confession; she was just being real. Like, I wanted to have you perform at this spot, and I did perform there. Her voice mattered over the other person who was discouraging her, but that person said to her that I'm not reliable. Like, she's just not reliable. She's like, you know what I mean? It's like, so why? And you're supposed to be my friend, mind you. You're in the same group of poets that I'm a part of, and you're
Mhm,
discouraging people from booking me. That person has major influence in my home city. So I'm sure that also blocked my blessings a few other times, if
mhm,
they're the ones going around saying this. They're a trusted source. They're a big influence.
mhm,
So I know for a fact that blocked me because I literally am just showing my work here and being placed on these platforms. Whereas like my work wasn't enough where I was from. It was severely underrated, you know? So I'm so grateful that Spirit spoke to me. Allah, God, Mother God, like it was just an exodus. Last January, so I even left earlier than I was supposed to. I was breezing past New York City like 2 hours after I was gone. I was out. I stopped in Charlotte, North Carolina to rest, to take a shower. And then I finished. Charlotte was like the halfway point. So I figured out, let me like halfway stop, like take a pause. But
Hmm.
that was an exodus, honey. I missed a huge snowstorm too. A
Oh
few days
wow.
later, it was a massive snowstorm, like snow up to doors covering cars. So I just felt so grateful, so free. Like I just something was calling me, like it was just time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Love it, love it. Yeah. Unfortunately, many of our favorite artists, they deal with that where not everybody who is all over the TV screen, or not everybody who's all over the radio, or who's all over the poster boards, is necessarily who the people want, right? It is in this entertainment industry, it is a whole lot of politics, and it is a whole lot of who you know, and just keeping it funky, you
It
know.
is. It is. That's how the world
It
works.
is
No, it is.
sometimes you got to pay to play too, right?
Exactly. Hmm.
So there's a
Exactly.
whole lot going on that
Hmm.
fans who've never worked in the music industry don't know. So they're just saying, "Oh, it's talent based." So if he or she is not that talented, then they're not. It's like, no, it's a whole lot that goes on behind the scenes.
Hmm.
Whole
Hmm.
lot, whole lot. So
Exactly. Exactly.
I can smell you. I can smell you. Um, do you remember your first spoken word piece?
Ah, that's a good one. You mean like my, so I mean, I've been writing since forever, but you mean like my very first time performing, like what I got out, like when I was reading my paper, or when I was like, I feel like I was young doing like my Angels and Still I Rise, but maybe my own personal work when I read
Your
it.
own
Yeah,
your own
I'm trying to
personal work.
remember what
Like
that was. I
what's
was
the
reading things. I
earliest
was like shaking on paper reading.
verse or half a verse
Uh,
that you can remember?
oh my God, hold on.
Or even if it's like a couple bars.
Well, it's my intro. So I have this set intro that I
Hmm.
always, so depending on the space, like where I'm performing at, depending on the space, if it's a smaller space and I feel like people will hear me, I'll like perform this intro piece and walk up to the stage or walk up to wherever I'm, wherever the designated performance area is.
Hmm.
But it depends on the space. Sometimes I can't do that. Like I just have to come to the mic and do it. But other times I like walk up in this grand, like dramatic, like entrance, and I do my intro poem. So it's very brief, like 30 seconds. It's called intro. And every time I write my sets, I always write intro as the first one. So it's called, here it goes. When they see me coming, they know it's me. I walk, talk, and breathe poetry. In the beginning was the word, and it was me. Infinite love, truth, and justice. Yeah, they all lust this long to bust with my energy, not understanding the supreme synergy.
Mm. Nice, nice,
Yeah.
nice. Is there a alter ego? Is there a spirit animal? Is there no, truthfully, because
That's real.
as
That
a
is real, though. That's
performer,
real.
you
That's
got a
real.
channel, right?
Hmm. That's
So
real.
who do you channel, or what do you channel?
That's a good question. I kind of just, it's my words, I feel like
Okay.
I feel the power of my words. Like I feel like it's like as I'm saying them, like
Hmm.
it's like, yes, let this hit. And especially where I, I might go softer, go harder, like,
Hmm.
be more like, it depends. Like some, of course I have love poems, of course, those aren't, those are like lofty and sweet, but it's really the words that honestly guide me. It's really not like, I think it's the words, because if I'm performing like different, like even like like there's a poem about weight that I wrote, right? A love poem. There's poems about coffee, food that I write. I mean, I write like so in April, actually, April's next month. So in April, it's National Poetry Month. So poets challenge themselves to write a new poem per day in April. So it's 30 days in April. So they're called 30/30s. So I've been doing this for like 8 years. I think this might be my eighth or my ninth year doing it like throughout the whole month, doing 30/30 completely. So like my eighth or ninth year, it'll be this year. But during that time, like I challenge myself to write. I'll write about random things because it's just random inspiration. So if it's like one of those poems that might not be like about coffee or leftovers, it might not be so much like the words, because the words aren't always super like powerful necessarily. They're like kind of like, just vibing with like the inspiration. But even for those things, I try to channel like where I was at when I wrote it. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
even like if I'm writing a poem about the sun, then I'm like trying to remember like the sun beaming on my face and how that felt, how it energized me, or how that made me warm. So even if I'm not like, even if it's like a super powerful piece in my words, and and even if it's like a little delicate, or like I just try and like remember kind of where I was when I wrote it, and I let that kind of guide the flow, you know if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
get it. There are so many songs that they're so powerful to me, um, and they could be not that powerful to somebody else, but they're so powerful to me because when I first heard the song, or the first couple times that I heard the song, right, I was going through a certain place in my life, or I was at a certain uh, a location, or the weather was a certain way, right? So
Hmm.
it's certain songs that hold a place in my heart that I'm like, oh, this is my song because I remember this is when I was in college. This is when I got dumped by my girlfriend, or whatever, you know what I mean? So
Exactly,
yeah,
it fits you. I
so
Yeah, I often say, they say sense, like smell is the strongest sense tied to memory. The strongest sense tied to memory, but I would argue that it's music. I would argue that it's a song.
mm,
Because as soon as you hear a song, you're placed right back into it.
mhm,
I feel
mhm,
like song music is the strongest sense tied to memory, even though it's not necessarily a sense in the sense of like smelling or
mhm,
tasting, but at the same time, it's still felt. That's a sound.
yeah,
It's you're hearing it. So at the
yeah,
same time, people might not think of it as a sense because like, but it's still hearing. It's still the hearing. So it's like I feel like that is actually the most powerful way to remember is through music, honestly. Because even the other day, my mom was listening to, it was a Marvin, I forget what Marvin Gaye song it was. But she just was starting to jam to it, like in the car. She's like this, she's 69, so she was really like, she's her cute little way of showing she's into the song. But I was like, oh, after it played, I'm like, Mom, what did you remember? Like, what did that bring back to you? She's like, oh, just back in the day, like having a good time,
yeah,
like it just it's the yeah, it just words. I mean, of course, music is words. Rap is from poetry. The
yeah,
last poets. You familiar with like the last poets, like originating kind of like the rap game?
mhm,
Poetry set to a beat. So it's the word, it's the lyrics. Of course, the beat's important too in music. The beat is definitely important, but I
mhm,
feel like the depth, the connection is with those words.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. Hmm.
On that same note, do you ever perform to music? Is there sometimes a soundtrack or
That
some background music?
Yeah, that's so funny. That's actually what I'm working on for my performance for Miami Pride. Yeah, I feel like because it's just like Pride is like a big, like huge celebration. Like it's all people are like active, trying to just be like out. Like it's just a fun time, right? So I'm like, if I'm I have a 20-minute set. I can't just stand and like perform words for 20 minutes. I'm like,
Right.
I'm gonna have to do some type of engagement, some type of music. So I'm working on that now. I have in the past, like I just haven't like hired someone set for a performance, but like just like what's the word I'm looking for? Randomly, like if there's a band at like an open mic spot, like they might just play with me. But I don't often do that intentionally, but I'm gonna start to. So that's actually something that I'm working on in the works for right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I did some work with a spoken word artist, and she had like some producers, and she would buy the beats and such. And again, it was spoken word, so it wasn't like rapping on a timed beat or anything, right? But sometimes the beats were like real chill,
Hmm.
right? When it was like a real chill flow or whatever, and then sometimes the beats were really strong and just,
Hmm.
and when she would go into certain dark places in her poetry, so I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I'm actually that's like the next level for me, honestly, is merging it with music. I feel like that's really where I'm headed at this point. I'm gonna have to like with the different platforms that I'm having access to now, it's gonna be different vibes, like bigger crowds, like probably like
Hmm.
thousands of people. So
Hmm.
literally to perform in thousands of people with a 20-minute set, you have to hold there has to be something behind those words. Like it has to be
Oh yeah.
something, to hold attention, people yeah. So that's
Oh yeah.
that's the next level that I'm working on is with music. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you said that you had some shows coming up. So if the people wanted to see you live, wanted to check you out here in South Florida, um, where can they see you?
So yeah, so Thursday I'll actually be at Ginger Bay Cafe.
Hey.
Yeah, and I think it's in Hollywood. Am I? I, I,
Hmm.
I don't know. Okay, I'm still learning
Yeah,
the.
downtown
I'm
Hollywood,
still learning the areas.
Young
But
Circle.
yeah, I'll be there. This Thursday the 9th. I think it starts like 7 or 8. So I'll be there around like 7:30, probably like 7:38 the latest. So that's where I'll be at Ginger Bay Cafe this Thursday the 9th, around like 7:38. I think I'm not sure quite when the show starts though, like as far as when they have people on, but I'll just be there and present like 7:30 ish. And then so for now I've just really been at open mics. The part that I was booked at, or the show that I was booked for officially, that happened already, and then Miami Pride is coming up, and then they haven't given me details. So it's either going to be the 15th or the 16th of April, but I'll share those details as I know. They're still working on like logistics for that, but it's yeah.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
So give the info again for Ginger Bay,
Yeah.
but do it like you on the radio.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. Get some water. Okay. All right, loves. So you
Uh,
can check me out this Thursday, March 9th at Ginger Bay Cafe around 7:30. That's where you want to be. You want to be live in the building, get some spoken word. There's going to be comedians. There's going to be all other live artists. So check us all out. Good vibes, good eats. They have happy hour special. You don't want to miss
there we go. There we go.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yes,
I love
yes.
it. I have a special, um, as an artist myself, I have a special place in my heart for artists. Like sometimes I'll see, and I don't even like to use the word homeless because we tend to put folks down. And it's like, listen, you don't even know anyone's story, right? There are
Exactly.
some geniuses
Mhm.
that just ran up on some hard times, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But when it comes to seeing some people who are
Mhm.
homeless, quote unquote, and they're artists, I can't just walk past them.
Mhm.
It's like, y'all gotta support. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Even if it's $1 or
Mhm.
$5, and you'll see some of
Mhm.
these people, and they got their guitar, or they got like a little drum set they use in like
Mhm.
the buckets or whatever. And it's like, as a fellow artist myself, like I applaud you because you
Yes.
you could you could just have a sign up,
Mhm.
hey, I want some money. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you putting forth your
Your art, your heart. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
And also too, a lot of I feel like with homelessness too, that the topic of mental health is really important because a lot
Mm-hmm,
of people who are homeless are battling mental illnesses and just or addiction or both, like dual,
mm-hmm,
dual diagnosis.
mm-hmm,
And they just aren't medicated, honestly. They're just kind of spiraling with their mental health, Like
mm-hmm.
that's a lot of it too, is mental health stuff for sure. And I've battled with my mental health for about 11 years, from 15 to 26. I was diagnosed. I talk about this a lot, even in my art. I have poems on mental illness. I'm a big advocate because it's not really talked about in our community, especially. It's like, oh, pray it away, go for a walk. And it's like, no, some people actually need medicine. Like, I actually need my meds. Like, it's not enough to pray or to go for a walk. Like, this is definitely a scientific illness. It's a disease, and it's like, it's a chemical imbalance. So people will often take it as like a bad character trait or something. And it's like, no, this is actually like the chemicals in my brain are off. Like why would you wouldn't tell your grandmother who's a diabetic not to take her insulin, you know?
Mm,
So it's like when we think of it in those terms, when we really actually understand it as a sickness, as an illness. Like I was sick, on and off throughout that time. It wasn't me going crazy. I was actually just struggling with it. I was young, diagnosed very young at 15, and I didn't want to take meds. What 15-year-old wants to go on meds? So I feel
right.
like a lot of also my work in this world is also to speak up about mental illness and destigmatize it. So like 1 in 5 US adults actually has a mental illness.
Mm,
So it's really, yeah, people aren't alone. People aren't alone at all when they're struggling. It's actually very common. And out of that 1 in 5, 1 in 24 of those people have a severe mental illness.
mm,
So, and a lot of folks just are out here, praying it away and not really taking meds when they need it. God gave us Allah, Mother God gave us medicine, so it's like we should definitely use it and take care of ourselves. That's a huge platform that I will always like. The hill I'm gonna die on is destigmatizing mental illness. Yeah.
mm.
Hmm.
So you said a stat. You said 1 in 5 people
Hmm.
struggle with mental illness
Hmm.
in some sort.
Yeah.
So I was just having this conversation this past weekend. I think that when it comes to artists, most dope artists,
For sure.
and excuse this term that I'm going to use, but most dope artists are a little off, right? You can't be the norm and really take your art seriously, right?
You
You got
have,
to be
yeah.
willing to,
You're tapped into something deeper,
yes,
it's like
yes,
you can it usually artists are very empathetic people, so
mm-hmm,
we really feel deeply, we're moved by, like, just like you said, you can't pass a homeless person, who is bearing your soul. Like
mm-hmm,
we feel deeply. I feel like all artists, no matter who you are, just to even come from a space of being able to consistently create something. Now
mm-hmm,
creating something, a lot of artists, it's natural for us to create. Even now, I'm just not talking about music and poetry. I'm talking about even fashion, like
mm-hmm,
fashion designers. I'm talking about not just visual artists, but people who craft, people who knit, like just to
mm-hmm,
come with something out of nothing, right?
yeah,
That's the whole idea of the universe anyway, and how things are created, something out of nothing.
yeah,
So artists are creating something out of literally nothing, just out of their own idea, right? Even people who are doing do it yourself projects, they're envisioning something different, and it's
yeah,
just they're manifesting it just off of their creative juices alone,
mm,
so it's like you have to be different to be an artist, because you're in
yeah.
this constant state of inspiration, this constant state of creating things,
Talk
and
to him.
yeah.
Talk to him.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Hmm.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, there's a game that I used to play on my podcast. I haven't done it for 2023, right? Have not yet done it. Um, but tonight I just kind of feel inspired to run it. So I'm going to run it. So here we go.
Okay.
Sublime Love. Do you know what time it is?
What time? Do you mean actual time? Do you mean the time, the sign of the times? What time are we talking? The construct of time? What time? The actual time? What time are we talking? What time are we talking, Blaze? What kind of time?
You don't know what time it is?
The actual time on this physical space right now on Eastern Standard Time is 8:41 p.m. That actual time, right? The literal time on Eastern Standard Time, we're at 8:41 p.m.
No. It is
Wait, what time? Okay, tell me. Educate me. Educate me. What time it is? What time is
color time.
it?
Color time. Color time. All right, it is color time. I haven't done color time in quite a few episodes, but I felt today, I just felt led to do it. So guess what? We're
Yes.
gonna do it.
Educate me. What's
All
going
right.
on?
So this is color time. This is the segment of the show where I, the host, will announce random colors. And
Okay.
for each color I present, you, the featured guest, will share what that color means to you or
Mm.
what you see in that color.
Okay, okay. I
All
like
right.
this. I like
There
this.
is no right or wrong
Of
answer.
course.
It
Yeah,
can
there's
be spiritual, philosophical, it can be educational, it
no.
can be common, it can be
Yes,
comical,
exactly. Yeah.
whatever it means to you. All right. I'm going to give you an example. Here we go. For example, I may say the color brown. All
Yes.
right. Some
Mm-hmm.
guests in the past have said chocolate
Yes.
or my skin color, right? And other guests have said dog poop.
Mm-hmm.
No answer is wrong,
All
right?
right.
Just what that color means to you.
All right.
So, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready as I'll ever be. I'm always ready. But go ahead.
All right, all right. Those watching, feel free if you have a cool color that you want to challenge her with, feel free to put it in the chat. Here we go.
Yep.
Color number one, silver.
Silver. Okay, so when I first think of silver, I think of coins, right? I think of like the the heads on coins. So as soon as I hear silver, I'm like, okay, change, right? Like I got change, I got this silver. Of course, back in the day, silver was money, like you're exchanging like gold and silver were actually ways of payment, right? Before we
Mhm,
had dollars and cards, silver was definitely something valuable. And it still is, right? Because coins add up. So so silver is something still valuable, but I go right to like change and coins with silver.
Okay. Next color, we're gonna use this one.
Okay.
Um, watermelon pink.
Ooh, watermelon pink. I think of fun. I love pink actually. Pink is like purple used to be my favorite color, but now like I'm really into pink all of a sudden. But I pink is really like it's a happy color. I don't just think of pink as feminine actually. I think of it like as just as something bright, like something to look forward to, like something that's just like it's comforting too. I feel like people will feminize pink, but pink actually looks good on everybody. Like, especially, depending on skin tones, like pink is a color for everyone, um, you know? And I just feel like pink brings about like a lightness, like a fun, something play, something, I don't know. It's just a vibe. Pink is a vibe for me. Watermelon pink, like it's all a vibe. Yeah.
I've been known to look very delicious in pink.
I can see that though. Your undertones, I can see that. Yeah, people always want to feminize pink, but colors aren't feminine or masculine or they're colors. They're for
Mhm,
everybody.
mhm. Agreed,
Yeah.
agreed.
Hmm.
All right. Next color, color number three. Let's go with ocean green.
Ocean green. Ooh. I'm trying to think of ocean green and what it looks like. Well, I was actually at the beach, so I can kind of envision ocean green actually. I was at the beach Saturday. Let me think. Ocean green. Hmm. I feel like that's like how can I think that's a level of kind of like depth. I feel like green and brown. I think that of like earth, like very earthy, very substance, like something like grounded. I'm thinking of that. That's where I'm going with that, like a grounding. You know, yeah.
Okay. Two
Mhm.
more colors. Here we go.
Okay, all right.
Next color,
Mhm.
smoky white.
Ooh, smoky white. I think of clouds. Um, I think of clouds. I think of like looking up, right, and just seeing clouds move, the different cloud shapes. I think of clouds when I'm on a plane flying through clouds. It feels like so amazing. Like I have ridden, I've been on a plane a lot of times, but every time I'm up there amongst the clouds, I just got to take a picture. Like I'm in heaven. Like like I feel like the clouds are just. I go right to clouds and smoky white.
Last color. Here we go. Devil red.
Ooh, double red. I think of intense. I think of red lipstick, honestly. When I think of red lipstick, I think of super like sexy fire, like like red is powerful. I feel like I see your logo too has a lot of red. But it's red is very powerful. It's eye catching. I feel like red stands out. Um, yeah, red is definitely like okay, I see you. Like yeah, yeah. When people wear red lipstick, it's like okay. Like you can't
It's
help
a
but be like,
trap.
yeah. It's like, wait
It's
a
a
minute,
setup.
And I shouldn't say I was a makeup artist. I was a practicing makeup artist in Boston,
Okay.
but I've kind of let that go because I didn't want to reestablish myself as a makeup artist, as a poet. Like I wanted to just stick with
Mhm.
one thing when I moved. But even with like with the in the vein of makeup, the word of makeup, the red lip is like the classic look. Like like the statement, the red lip is a statement. And there's all kinds of shades of red lipstick. You'd be surprised. There's dozens of shades of red. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. So they're all like, and usually you stick with the same look. Like if you have a red lip, I know you might are you yeah, I'm not gonna dive deep into makeup, but if you have a red lip, there's like a set classic look that you do with a red lip. Like red lip is this it calls for something special. Like it's um so yeah, that's where I go when I think of red.
I I try to stay away from red lips.
Mm.
Mhm.
I feel like there's a
Unless
story there. I feel
this,
like there's a story there.
yeah, I mean, not now,
Mhm.
currently, because I'm good
Yeah.
now. I am happy now. I am safe now.
Okay, okay.
But in my past, red lips were consequences. Red lips were
Mm.
a setup.
Oof.
Red lips
Oh
were
gosh.
deceitful,
Ooh,
and
ooh.
yeah, and
Oh. I'm
yeah,
sorry you had that
I
experience.
felt red lips. It just wasn't fair.
Mm.
It,
Oh my gosh, there's definitely a
it's
story there. Wow.
mm, yeah. I won't dive any deeper into those
That's okay.
stories.
I'm sorry that you had that experience. So I'm sorry that that's what comes to mind when I said red lips. Sorry for
I
that.
mean, granted,
Yeah.
I am responsible for my own actions, right?
And
So
yeah, very,
I
yeah, of course.
chose to be trapped
Uh-huh.
and enslaved by the red. Um,
Mm.
but
Uh-oh.
in
Oh
any
my
case,
gosh.
but when I think of red lipstick, I'm like, all right, let me walk this way.
Yeah, let me. Okay, it's triggering. I'm sorry. I should have. If I would have known, I would have given a trigger warning. If I would have known, I'm sorry. Yeah.
All good, all good, all good. Um, indeed, indeed. This was such a great episode. Um, I am excited for your show,
Thank you.
and I want to plug it. So if you have anything you want us to share, if you have a flyer
Mhm.
for this upcoming show, or just in general, anything that you want us
Yeah,
to promo for you.
I would just say follow my Instagram because that's where you can see everything. Everything, every flyer, everything is my work, my words, my. I call them sublime sermons. So
Mm,
I'll have like reels and even like just captions where I talk about something like a sublime sermon, But it's always like to empower my audience, to make them feel loved, to love themselves. Just powerful words transforming people. So
mm.
I have sublime sermons. So yeah, follow. I'd love for people to weigh in on my Sublime sermons. Um, but yeah, it's Sublime Love Brand. So SUBLIMELUV brand. So Sublime Love Brand. Love is LUV. I usually pop up after like Sublime LU. I usually pop up. You usually don't have to write the whole Sublime Love brand, but I'll pop up after like Sublime L or Sublime U, something like that. I'll pop up. Yeah.
Okay. So there it is. Make sure you follow her on Instagram at Sublime Love Brand, right? And you can get updated with upcoming shows and her Sublime Love sermons and
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Indeed, indeed. In closing, is there a word? Is there
Mm,
a quote
mm.
that you feel led to leave the audience with?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, this is my favorite quote of like one of my favorite quotes of all time. I actually had it in my high school yearbook, like my favorite quote. So Carl Jung was an acclaimed like psychiatrist, and just what's the word I want to use? Not necessarily psych. He was just I can't think of the word right now, but this is Carl Jung quote. It's called. I'm gonna. He says he, but it's everyone. I'll just preface everyone. So he who looks outside only dreams, but he who looks inside also awakens.
Mm,
So I'll say that again. He who looks outside only dreams, but he who looks inside also awakens.
mm. Ashe. Love
Yeah.
that.
Okay, yeah.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, many times we're looking for the external sources. We're looking for the answers. And news alert,
It's
we got
inside.
the answer.
Exactly. It's all in you, boo boo.
We've always had the answer,
It's always
but we
in
get
you.
so distracted
Yep.
thinking, oh, it's.
Hmm.
No. When you find the answer, right, it's things you see or people who say certain things and it resonates with something that was already present, right?
Exactly.
So,
And that's how you find your purpose. Like you
mm-hmm,
said, I know you have a workshop, was it that you were saying?
mm-hmm,
Yeah. Finding your purpose is looking inside. What do you like to do? What are you drawn to? What makes you come alive? And that's your purpose.
mm.
You have to share that with the world.
We might use that.
Yeah.
We might have to keep in touch.
For sure. Please do.
Hey,
Well, we're linked up now. We're linked up now.
hey, indeed,
Yeah.
indeed.
I do
I
have workshops as well. I do run workshops and facilitate workshops myself.
okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay,
You'll see that on my Instagram. Everyone will see that on my Instagram. Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
It's funny. I'm doing this call, right, with a very powerful entrepreneur. He's a multi-millionaire. He's made millions of dollars annually. He's made millions of dollars monthly. He's even made $1 million in a day.
Wow. Wow.
Um, and he happens to be my cousin.
That's nuts.
Hmm.
Wow.
Shout out to GT Greg Todd, and follow him at Greg Todd PT. Indeed, and he has this call right now all week, and it's called the Invincible Challenge, right? Where he pushes people to think outside the box, right? And instead of being a slave and trading time for money, right? Create a system where you're making money while you're at the swimming pool. You're
Sleeping.
making
Yeah. Wake
money
up
while
to
you're
money.
sleeping, while
Yeah.
you're with your kids, all of that, right? Um, so I forgot where I was going with that. You just touched on
No, I think
something.
I was saying. What did I say? It was something you said that you had to use it. What did I say? I'm trying to remember. Oh, it was finding your purpose, like what makes you come alive. And
Oh,
use
yes,
that.
yes, yes,
Yeah, like
yes,
use that to
yes.
fuel like what your purpose is. What makes you come alive? What could you do every day and not get paid for? Like, and for me, that's performing. I could come on Instagram every day and perform for nothing. And like that makes me come alive. That gives me that sets me free. So it's like, what could you do every day? I actually got that from a friend.
Mm,
He's a market. He was in marketing for a long time, and he gives me he's an amazing strategist. And he was telling me, well, what could you do every day for free? And I was like, oh, definitely perform. Definitely write and perform every day for free. I could do that. So I feel like when you think of that and you think of who you are and what makes you come alive and you merge that all together, that's your
mhm,
recipe for your success. That's your purpose right there.
mhm.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And this week, Greg touched on, he said, right now we're in the era of partnerships. And we are
Hmm.
conditioned to think that we have competition, right?
Oh,
And it's
speak. Oh
like,
my
I got to
God.
get to the bag
Speak
before
on
you.
that. Speak
And
on
if you
that.
get to the bag,
Yes.
then you're stopping me from getting to the.
Exactly.
No.
There's enough sun for everybody. I'm going to die on that hill. There is enough sun for everybody. There is enough, honey. There's enough.
Yes. Yes.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yes. Man, if you were blessed by this episode 93, um, put a lion emoji in the chat.
Hey.
Feel free to share this episode, right? Episode 93. You know what's funny? I was in, so quick story, quick story.
Yeah, please do.
I was, this weekend, I was coming out of the grocery store with my son, and I had groceries in my hand, and we walked to the car, and for lack of better terms, this Indian guy, um, I assume Indian, he had the turban on and the long beard or whatever, and he approached me, and this is not the first time that I've been approached by someone with this kind of vibe. Anyway, and he brought out his notebook and he started telling me things about myself, about what my challenges are and what my fears are, and the month that for me is a blessed month for me, and telling me things about my future and all sorts of things, right? And then, of course, at the end of this whole presentation, then he's like, "Yeah, so you can either give me $100, $200, or $300. You choose." And I'm like, "I don't follow rules. I choose none, right? But thanks for the, but thanks for the information." Anyway,
What?
in him telling me all of this, he says, "You're gonna live to age 93."
Oh,
So
okay.
me just remembering that this is the 93rd
Yes.
episode,
Okay,
it was like,
okay.
how
That's
fitting is
how
that?
yeah, and there's three threes and nine, a three. Yeah, that's yep.
Hmm,
There's
I
four.
don't know.
Yeah, that's really threes is my. I have like two or three. Like I have like a nine and a three in my license, two threes in my license plate.
Hmm.
My address has like the zip code three threes, one three. Like
Three.
yeah,
This
three is just
this
my thing.
episode is yours. And
Yeah.
when you add up 9 and 3, it's 12,
Whoa.
which
Yep.
still breaks down to 3 anyway.
Exactly. Come on, come with it. This is divine. This is
Mm,
divine. Thank you for having me,
mm.
Blaze. It's a pleasure. Let's definitely stay connected.
Yes, yes,
Please, y'all,
absolutely.
follow me again, Sublime Love Brand. I want to connect with everybody in this world, honestly, and just exchange energy, connect, through words, through vibes. Like I said, powerful words transform worlds. So let's just,
Hmm.
yeah.
Indeed,
Mhm.
indeed.
Yeah.
This was the Blaze the Lion podcast. As we always say, peace and love.